You're listening to XVGM Radio. Welcome to XVGM Radio, where the bits keep coming. I'm Nico.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Justin.
And this is episode 119, the Sharp X68000.
That's right. We're talking about a Japanese exclusive system that has some incredible music. This was, I think, your idea, right, Nico?
Mm-hmm.
I pushed it in this direction, yeah, because I wanted us all to maybe do something that we're like not super familiar with, but would be, an interesting dive, that's for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was an interesting dive, I gotta say. I mean, I think we all found some good music, but personally, my experience was, doing some research, finding some music, and then diving in to find out more about the games and hitting a brick wall.
Yeah, there's not a ton of information on a lot of games, but the information that is there is pretty fascinating, I'd say. Regarding the music that we're going to be playing, it's primarily FM synthesis based, so, if you like Sega Genesis music, I think you'll feel right at home here. If you like other Japanese exclusive computer systems, I think you'll really enjoy this episode. There's a lot of stuff in here that's some pretty deep cuts. So this is not your Mario, Zelda, Sonic mess. This is going to be hardcore Japanese exclusive games that, really were not played elsewhere for the most part.
Some not safe for work games.
Yes.
I know some of my picks, I couldn't find any information on them other than the fact that they were just
not safe for work.
Ecchi games, hentai games.
Yeah. Good times. So the track that Nico picked for this intro, what did you pick?
So I picked the track Soul from a game called Magical Shot, which, as you can imagine, is from a billiards game. That came out in 1991 by Hideo Nagata and Masashi Harada.
Cool. Yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, it was really bright.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the canter there. There's a synth sound that was used in the music that I don't know how to describe, but that really just kind of tickled my funny bone.
Gross.
It kind of sounds like a spit or like a quack. I can't describe it, but it's a very silly sound that was used in there. And
I think it's a sample. I think it's a PCM sample.
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I think.
But it's very silly, and it really kind of made me enjoy the song on a different level.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Nico? Why did you pick this one?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to pick a simple, an introductory kind of song for the episode. Mm-hmm. I like the pluckiness of it, and that little sample, that little wicka wicka. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there.
It's a duck being a DJ.
a
Quacka,
duck,
quacka.
DJ duck.
A DJ
ready
duck.
to shoot some billiards.
That's right. Oh, so that's what the game is. It's a billiards game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's pool. Yeah, I'm just shooting the balls in the holes, and pretty much most of the tracks are like this. But I figured this track was the most pleasant, because obviously I'm all about finding like the best of the best, but sometimes it's good to just find a good track that you can just put on loop. It doesn't get annoying as it would probably in the game.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
You know, has almost a little jazziness to it as well, as you would expect from this type of game anyway. But
pool and jazz, billiards and jazz, man, they just go so well together. There's just so many amazing jazz-based soundtracks that are for billiards games. For those of you who don't know, who are just kind of walking into this and being like, wait a minute, why didn't they introduce this guy? Niko is our third official co-host. We have him on every year at the beginning of the year. We did have a little bit of a lull in December when it came to releasing episodes, and we had already said we were doing episode 118 last month, so we recorded that, put that out in January, and now it's February. Well, we're recording this in January still, but you're listening to this in the future. Woo. So we had to, as always, bring our second co-host.
Third host.
Yeah, that sounds a lot better. Yeah. So welcome back, Niko. We love having you on the show, and obviously stay tuned to the end, everybody, so that you can learn all about where you can find Niko on the web.
And what he's doing.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Always an honor. Always a pleasure, of course.
He's doing curtsying and bowing at the same time.
Jeez.
It's a little weird.
You're a little weird. Nice.
I am. Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, Niko, why don't you fully bring us in here and start out with Hideo Nagata? What do we have to learn about him?
All right. Well, let's see. I mean, he's done some other Sharp 68000 soundtracks, so someone that was likely familiar with this sound chip by the
Hmm.
time got to this soundtrack. You know, did Space Harrier, that version, Bosconian.
That's a really awesome X68000 soundtrack.
Huh.
Yes, indeed. So he got to work with the old classic Yuzo Koshiro, because that was did as well. They likely split the composing duty. What else? Draken. Oh yeah, I forgot there was a port. Of course, there's a port of Draken on this thing.
Yeah, that started out, I believe, as like a PC 98 and Sharp X68000 game, and then it got converted, like ported over to Super NES, because that was like a launch title, I think, for Super NES.
Was it?
Yeah, Draken. I believe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I always get Draken and Populous mixed up. But yeah.
But yes, we do got lots of that. Some PC 88 games here in the early 90s. And then, you know, went into the PlayStation, it seemed. Some games like Metal Jacket, Motor Tune Grand Prix, and Tonzura-kun. And then lastly, ending, it seems, in the late 90s with Fighter Destiny 2 on the N64.
Oh, okay.
And the first one as well. So
Nice. And the second composer is Masashi Harada, and
yes, who I found barely anything about.
Yeah, you know, it's weird because it's listed as just Chaos Angels online for what they composed, but I'm assuming that you found this elsewhere for the credit for them.
Yeah, just the VGM Rips.
Yes.
.net site.
Their stuff is so intricate when it comes to like they pull out sources that I'm like, wow, I didn't know that, and like you'll be like, wait a minute, I thought this was composed by somebody else, or I had no idea there was a third composer on this. You know, that sort of information. So yeah, hats off to VGM Rips.
Yeah, they helped with a number of mine as well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, as always, we go round robin with these sorts of episodes. So we're going to start with the guest of honor, or rather the third co-host. Third host. I'll get that right. We're going to start off with the third host, who is Niko, with his first pick, and then we're going to go round robin. So we'll go to Justin, and then we'll go to me, and then we'll loop back around to Niko. And that's how it'll go. So Niko, take it away.
All right. Well, first track of mine, I've got a track called Wipe It Out from a game called Lightning Soldier in 1994, composed by P, just all caps PEA.
Gross. All right, let's hit it.
Jeez.
Welcome back. That was the track Wipe It Out from Lightning Soldier, released in 1994, composed by PEA, all caps.
Peas and carrots.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so...
This was a lot of fun, I gotta say. I like the two samples that they've got in there. The let's get it on and wipe it out. I really like the robotic wipe it out. There's something about like a good like sci-fi robot voice that just. I don't know. It activates the same part of my brain that MST3K tends to do. It's very cheesy, but like in a very endearing way, and I like it.
That voice is great. It reeks of like Apple IIe or like you know what I mean, or like what was that thing? It was like voice to text or whatever. Like back in the day, like you would type something out and it would do the robot voice. It would read it out loud, kind of like a
text to
voice or something. I can't remember what it was called, but yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah, and that lead guitar, very, very synthy. Something about that was just a lot of fun. Like it wasn't overly complicated. It kind of ebbed and flowed between this more simplistic and like just like the main melody, and then you get like harmony and like rhythm behind it every so often. But yeah, that very twangy synth guitar was a lot of fun.
I like this track, but it feels weak to me. I don't know what it is. Like the composition is great, but I think the tones here are kind of simple and not really like utilizing the strengths of the Sharp X68000's FM synthesis, you know? Like it just kind of feels like there's not enough low end, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel bassy enough. It also, like the main melody doesn't feel strong enough. Like I don't know, maybe it's just me, but that's kind of how I felt about it. But I like it. It was a good track.
All right. That's fair. I was mostly interested overall in the whole soundtrack of this game, Lightning Soldier.
Oh.
So, of course, this track, I definitely like it. I feel both ways. It's like I enjoy the track. I like the little samples, but it definitely feels like there should be a little bit more underneath this like composition. But what I do like about it is it's got the catchiness. And you know what? At the end of the day, I don't care if it sounds weak. If it's got like something I can get behind.
Oh yeah, I'm
all about it. I had a decision between this and actually the opening track called Logic Brain Damage, which is a great name. I love the names nice. on like the soundtrack. And there's a bit more like samplage going on there too. But again, it has like I would feel you would. Mike think has like the same kind of thing with like there should be a little bit more to this, like has a good idea but like doesn't expand upon it. But hey, maybe after this you can check that specific track out as well. But what I like is the specific composer as well. So this game had 3 and they're all these 3-letter abbreviations: PEA, PRG, NAO, and they all did specific tracks. This guy liked using the samples, that's for sure, because all the tracks attributed to them do so with the sample channel. And what's interesting on the VGMRips.net page, apparently in the actual credits of this game, they list samples they took from CDs and their equipment, what they use. So it's you actually get some insights for something like this, which I is like super uncommon, especially for a game like this on this home computer.
Oh yeah,
that's
awesome.
Hardware. It's like, wow,
that must have been like a CD release. Like I could totally see them releasing a CD, and in the CD packet, like the booklet or whatever, probably listing a bunch of that information. Like maybe somebody online just like scoured the internet and found all the samples and wrote them down. But I could also see it like if this got an official CD release, I could see that in like this, in the little booklet.
Yeah, well, it does help that in the credits of this game they listed all their samples they found.
Oh, cool.
Ultimate Mix Volume 5, Armageddon, T-Birds, Bizarre Inc., Akai Sound Library. Like, that stuff is cool. And
wow. So it's right in the
composed
game.
With.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
is. It's in. I looked it up. It's in the credits.
Wow. And are the credits in English?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It is in English.
Okay.
So it's like just one of those situations. It's like weird.
That's awesome.
But
that's really cool.
Something for us VGM lovers to really, kind of dig into. And
the
fact they listed their equipment too, which is nice. A Yamaha Q420, a Roland D5, and a Boss 660, whatever. I can't say that number. Wow. Yeah. So all this information just right there in the game. I feel like at least the composers took a bit of pride in what they were making here.
Oh, absolutely.
Something kind of unique. Yeah.
When you see that level of commitment in an actual game in terms of the soundtrack, you can tell that these composers, they were really proud of what they utilized, and they wanted everybody to know, like, here's how we did it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's awesome. Like, you really don't see that level of detail in, I don't think, any game. I can't think of a single game that the game just provides you with that kind of that kind of info. That's wild.
That's cool.
What kind of game is this?
It's just as the description, the VGMRips.net says, this is a mediocre shmup with a lot of hearts. And I looked it up. It looks like a shmup that would be on this hardware, but obviously what stands out the most is the soundtrack, and definitely we're checking the entire thing out. So we got other cool names as well: Brain Masher, Man Eater, The Last Jam, Fantasy Space. Just these
Man
cool
Eater
freaking track titles as well. Yeah,
I've heard that one. That's the Hall & Oates, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Man Eater.
Oh, here she comes.
Also, one other small little fun fact: one of these samples, it contains the F word, so that was a bit of a shock. I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Oh wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's very quick though, but it's like, "Whoa, okay, this is unique. I like this though."
Yeah. Real quick, I figure we can kind of chat a little bit about the Sharp X68000, tell you a little bit about the system, more specifically the sound. The Sharp X68000 was released in 1987, and its lifespan was mostly until 1996 in terms of like official releases. The reason for its name is it utilizes a Motorola X68000 processor, which is where they got it from. It's a Japanese home computer system that was similar to the PC-98 and its predecessor, the PC-88. All three utilized FM synthesis for their music, with the Yamaha YM2151 as the biggest component of sound sourcing specifically for the Sharp X68000. I'm not 100% on the PC-88 and 98. I don't know if they use that Yamaha YM2151 chip. Also, there's a MSM 6258 chip, which is provided by Oki Electric Industry, and that's used for 80 PCM samples. So some of those samples that we just heard in this track came from that. Huh. It utilizes multiple sound chips. The music is funneled through 8 sound channels, primarily through that Yamaha chip, which utilize a digital to analog converter to mix it into 2 analog stereos. So this did get a Sharp X68000 mini release fairly recently, if I recall. Japanese only, of course, but it's got a ton of games on it that were re-released onto it, similar to the Super NES Mini, the NES Mini, the Sega Genesis Mini, et cetera, et cetera. So really cool. If you're a Sharp X68000 fan in terms of the soundtracks and maybe the games, I mean, most of the games are either ecchi, hentai, not safe for work type stuff, adventure type games like visual novels, that sort of thing. There's also a lot of shmups, arcade games, some action games, platformers, and I don't think there's too many fighting games. There's a lot of shmups on the system. So if you're interested in checking it out, it is pretty easily emulatable. So you can download an emulator, download some games, and try it out. The games and the system go for a pretty penny online, especially now because, people all over the world are trying to snatch them up. I have one game for the Sharp X68000.
You don't even have a Sharp X68000.
I know. I don't have the system, but I have the Akamajo Dracula X68000 game.
Oh, of course you do.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So that's
sense.
the only one I have. I bought it way back when, before I even knew what a Sharp X68000 was. When I was...
He was just like, it's a Castlevania game and I need it.
Yeah, I was like, without a question. And I knew I'd heard the soundtrack, so I was like, okay, I got to get this game. Anyways, let's move on to your next pick.
So my first pick in this Sharp X68000 spotlight is going to be from a game called Geograph Seal, and that came out in 1994 as well. The track is called Stage 1 and was composed by Hiroyuki Saigusa. Welcome back. You were listening to Stage 1 from Geograph Seal, and that came out in 1994 and was composed by Hiroyuki Saigusa.
It has nothing to do with seals in terms of the animal, and it has nothing to do with the world, like the globe. And it has nothing to do with the artist known as Seal.
Oh, dang.
No Kiss from a Rose for you.
No.
Yeah.
That was awesome, though.
I got a big kick out of this one. It reminds me of some of the Mega Man X music from the on the SNES.
Yeah. I will say the same problem that I had with Niko's track is present here, except for the fact that they kind of like injected this like really like the loudest lead synth. And then, you know, you've got this kind of like whirring kind of bass that's like wah, wah, or synth or something, whatever that was.
I was going to say, like, it had a pretty distinct bass line that they showcased it in the beginning.
The bass line sounded good. What I mean is, like, the bass tone sounded good. I thought that the main lead was overly loud. Whereas you kind of had, like, another melody kind of buried in the background, similar to Niko's pick, not his intro, but the pick that we just listened to earlier. And I don't know if that's like just a Sharp X68000 thing or like a mix thing or what, but you know, it was interesting to hear like such a prominent kind of sound voice featured in this track, along with like a really steady, strong bass. So, yeah. What are your thoughts, Niko?
Yeah, this is dope. I like this rockin'. It definitely got like a rockin' kind of track, like Mega Man X. I really love any kind of drum fill. There was like any kind of fills like that. I love when they're in songs, and of course, looking at the game itself, it's like, yeah, this track is perfect for the kind of action going on in this game, and of course, this kind of sounds, well, so far it's the most kind of Sega Genesis-y sounding track, but of course, again, the Yamaha sound chip like similarities. But I really like it. For, of course, a game soundtrack I've never heard of. It's like, this is a good first impression, and I gonna have to check out the entire soundtrack now.
Yeah, the soundtrack on this one is actually really, really fun.
I'm just looking up some of the information that I'm sure you're going to share in just a second about the game, and I'm blown away that I'd never heard of this one.
Right?
Yeah.
Same, actually. As I was reading about it,
I can't wait to hear you talk about it.
And especially because of, one of the games that's referenced is a favorite game of our friend Eric.
Yeah.
So Geograph Seal is a game that I had never heard of until now, but it's a first-person mecha platform shooter. I'm trying to think of like what other games I know that are kind of like that. The first thing that comes to mind is like Virtual On, but I don't think it's really Virtual On.
It's Jumping Flash.
It is. So that's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
It is the spiritual predecessor, not spiritual successor, to Jumping Flash, because this came out before that. The publishers and developer are Exact. They then went on to do this tech demo for the PlayStation called Springman, which then became Jumping Flash for the PlayStation.
Not only did they make that, Jumping Flash, but they also made Legend of Dragoon, Ape Escape. They made Loco Roco, Patapon, the Gravity Rush games, and Astro's Playroom. So, which is a relatively newer game.
Legend of Gaia is in there.
Okay. Yeah. So they are one of Sony's like creme de la creme developers.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they did close up shop in 2021. They got merged into like another team. So, yeah. But yeah. So Exact, good stuff. They're also known as, they were known as Japan Studio, like owned and operated by Sony. So they were Exact. Then they got kind of eaten up by Sony. They turned into Japan Studio, and then they merged with Team Asobi. So,
okay. That is a wild story.
Yeah.
So basically, this developer is one of the top tiers, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Of the games they have made.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. It's got like Game of the Year awards, if I recall. Like this game by like Japanese magazines. So.
Oh, the Geography Seal?
Yeah.
That's great.
One thing that I wanted to also point out is that the Sharp X68000 has the ability to have different sound modules. So it supports like the Roland MIDI sound module, the SC55, and the CM300. So all of those sound wildly different if you listen to them. So yeah, it's pretty neat to like compare them. And you could usually pick a favorite. I think the standard is the Roland MIDI sound module, which sounds the best. It's the most crunchiest FM synthesis like style. Yeah. The other ones are kind of different, but they're not bad. They're just, they sound different.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize there was multiple sound chips that it could access.
Yeah. Well, it's more sound modules than sound chips.
Okay.
But yeah,
I get you.
Yeah. Still, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. All right. Hiroyuki Saigusa has been a very busy person. They actually have a hand in a lot of things, from production, design, writing, art, cinematics. Our focus is usually on audio here. So just taking a look at their audio credits, just a few. 1990, a game called Nios. They're credited for sound effect work, music arrangement, music composition. It's a Sharp X68000 game. The next year, in 1991, Aquales, they did music composition.
Oh, yeah.
In 1993, Etoile Princess, again, for music, and their last music credit is actually this, Geograph Seal, but they did go on to do lead sound designer in 2015 and 2014 on a game called D4, Dark Dreams Don't Die. But yeah, their most recent credit out of anything looks to be 2018. They were a planner on A Certain Magical Virtual On. That sounds like a combination of two different things that I know of that do not go together, so what the heck?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a crossover game between A Certain Magical Index and Virtual On, which is exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
Wild.
Neat.
All right. Sounds like we're actually getting a caller.
Yeah.
So from the hotline. So Janine, why don't you connect us in?
Call, you're on the air with XVGM Radio. Who's this? What can we play for you?
Fools, you are messing with the Remounter.
The Remounter. Messing with... Did we do something to you?
Yes, you didn't play a track from my favorite game.
Well, we can fix that if you want to tell us what it is.
It's all about my brother, Reinforcer.
Oh, Reinforcer. That's an obscure one. I think we can get something from that. You got a track?
No.
Alrighty then.
Listen, sometimes you get a good caller, other times you don't. This was not a good caller.
I mean, we can whip up a song. What do you got?
Yeah, well, let's check out this game Reinforcer. It's apparently the Remounter's brother. This game came out in 1990 on, obviously, the Sharp X68000, and this track is BGM 6. It's by an unknown composer.
Ooh.
All right, thanks for joining us back on our Sharp X68000 Spotlight. That track was from a game called Reinforcer, and that came out in 1990. That track was called BGM 6, and it's by an unknown composer. And yes, go ahead, let me have it.
I mean, you say unknown composer, but I think this is very clearly Nobuo Uematsu. I mean, he just took the Final Fantasy Prelude and then, like, pitched it.
Yeah. It does sound very similar, but I love anything that just has up and down running of the scales.
Oh, that's fair.
And it has a very Baroque element to it, which it's just, I eat it up.
It's the quality of that synth. It's almost harpsichord-esque. It's like a harpsichord being played underwater.
Yeah, or like a harpsichord and a bass guitar like hooked up and had a baby.
And then that baby lived underwater.
Yeah. And it was called like a bass accord.
Bass accord.
Yeah. I also love this. This is simplicity in a different way. So the rest of the soundtrack doesn't sound like this, for the record. This is a very unique and different song. And I went through the whole soundtrack, and this one I just kept going back to and really fell in love with it. Just when I talk about simplicity from the other tracks that we played, this is just different in a way. It's more atmospheric. Those songs are simple in the sense that they're trying to do like something with something, and it's just not enough of something. So it feels kind of hollow and empty. Whereas this is going for a specific atmosphere intentionally that is different from the rest of the soundtrack. That's why when you listen to all the music on Reinforcer, it doesn't sound anything like this.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which is one of the reasons why I picked it. That, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. I also love that kind of more like playful bass line that kind of comes in later on. The doom, digga 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 doom, digga 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 doom.
Okay.
You know, that whole bass line is just, I don't know, it's like emotional, you know, in the same way that, again, the Final Fantasy intro music, which is, you know, clearly kind of riffing off of this in a lot of ways. But the drums too, I didn't notice it at first when I was picking this track, but when the drums kind of break and you just get the drums, where it's like you've got the cymbal and the what I presume to be the snare playing at the same time, and then it's just the cymbal. You know what I mean? It's interesting. You can hear it. It's really subtle, but you can hear like one of the drum tones just drop out completely. And that sets it up for the rest of the bass line to kind of present itself. It's pretty cool. So, what do you guys think of this, Niko? First.
Yes, I was like, it's a good track. I'm not gonna rag on it like.
I mean, you can.
For mine, for B. I mean, it's not. I don't feel there is anything more that this track needs to do, though. That is the thing. I feel like it does, for being simple, does what it wants to well. And interesting for it being kind of like the outlier of the soundtrack. If it's like, no other tracks sound like this. Yeah. But now I feel the same way. I like what's going on. Synth and the bass. This is actually the most Sega Genesis sounding track now so far.
Agreed.
Maybe just hold my words till the end, but definitely this one. But I like it. Definitely.
Yeah, you bring up a good point that this does sound very Genesis-like. Reminds me a lot of some of the music that we listened to on the Shadow Dancer soundtrack last night on XVGM After Dark. So, yeah, very similar. Yeah.
That was funny. We started that one at the wrong speed setting.
Yeah. So we're listening to the vinyl, and it's, like, super slow. And I'm listening, I'm like, this sounds off.
We got like 2 or 3 songs in too before you were like, wait a minute. What's the speed?
Yeah. I was like, this is off. Yeah. What do you think of this one, Justin?
I don't know that there's really much that I can cover that hasn't already been covered. I did like it a lot because of the comparison to Final Fantasy there. I mean, I'm always a fan of Nobuo, and he is not the only one in the world who writes those scales going up and down. Right. Just every time I hear him, the Final Fantasy Prelude from 1-7, like it's always the maybe not anymore, but it always used to be the opening to a Final Fantasy is that those running scales, and then the rest of it was just a lot of fun. It was very kind of buzzy and synthy in a way that I enjoyed, but again, my focus was really on that, like the scales.
Okay. A little bit about the game. This is a weird game. So it's very similar to Crackdown on the Genesis. Not the Xbox 360 Crackdown.
It's funny. That was the first place my mind went, and I was like, I don't think he's talking about that.
Two totally different. Yeah. You've got a bunch of boxes, like a maze of boxes, I guess you could say, that are just like spread all around, and it's top down. So you're basically trying to find these bombs that are scattered all over the place in the first like 2 levels, and you're trying to like defuse them, like stop them from blowing up. There's also some pretty interesting like cyberpunk kind of vibes as well, kind of like Predator kind of vision in a way, where there's like some first person kind of visuals that pop up in windows and stuff like that. But yeah, most of the game is just like top down. It's a very unique, different action game for the X68000. So yeah, pretty neat. I could not find a composer. I scoured the internet, couldn't find one. So this is probably secretly composed by Uematsu.
Yeah, that's what I'm going with.
That's it. All right, let's move on to Nico's second pick. Second? I mean, he picked the intro too, but
the intro is different.
Yeah.
It doesn't count.
What did you pick for us, Nico?
All right, well, we're actually gonna head back to Exact and Hiroyuki Sagusa because my next track is from a game he composed called Itoili Princess, right? Is that how that first word is?
Etoile.
It's French for star.
Princess.
I like Itoili though. That's like, it's like a Itoili.
Itoili?
Itoili princesses.
Etoile is French for star.
Star Princess.
Star Princess. I like it.
Okay.
All right, so we got Etoile Princess from 1993. This track is Tower of Elamia, and it is by Hiroyuki Sagusa. You're listening to XVGM Radio. Hey, welcome back. You just listened to Tower of Elimia from Itoili Princess by Hiroki Segusa. Hey, welcome. You just heard a good track. What do you think?
That was pretty awesome. Woohoo!
Mama Luigi.
Mama Luigi.
Oh, man. That was a fun little trip. I enjoyed that.
I love how kind of whimsical, but also how crunchy this sounds.
Yeah.
It's totally intense, and I was just eating everything up about this. It was so good. High energy, but not too high energy, you know? It had a nice drive to it.
Yeah, it felt very much to me like a traveling song.
Yeah.
And the thing that stood out to me most about this is a thing that rarely tends to stand out to me, and that is the drums. Like, those tom fills were fantastic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've said it before, I tend not to notice the drums in a lot of songs because they're just there, and unless they do something that really grabs my ear, I know that they're there, but I'm not paying attention to them. And this one kind of like grabbed me right off the bat and was like, hey, these are not your everyday drums. These are not your grandma's drums.
These aren't your mommy's drums.
Yeah. These are awesome drums, and we're gonna do crazy things with them.
Yeah.
And like I said, like the tom fills are really what kind of like perked me up and made me go, ooh, that's fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really good.
Yes.
Great track.
I like it. I like that y'all like it, because definitely when I heard this was the first one that picked for the episode, and I was like, wow, this is great. And what I'm clearly learning is that obviously Exact and Hiroyuki Segusa are just top notch on this hardware. Obviously, don't need to go into Hiroyuki Segusa again, since he just composed.
Right.
We just talked about him on Geograph Seals, so clearly he knows what he's doing on this soundware, and I love it too. He's still got the great drum fills. That beginning, it's that build up. That's what I liked about it. I always love a build up, and then just executed so good with that drum fill into the synths, and
you need a little foreplay before you get to the main event.
I mean, I'm gonna go foreplay Itoili Princess, or whatever. I was called Star Princess just to keep myself from being embarrassed.
What is this? Is this? It's got to be a visual novel, right?
Yes, this is a visual novel. This is the track when you get to go to your love. No, this is an action role-playing game.
Okay.
So, as I guess the best description is that it's like if you combined Kiki Kai Kai, Twinkle Tail, and Zelda Link's Awakening.
Oh wow!
With
that's quite the combo.
Platforming. Yeah, with platforming, puzzles, run and gun elements too.
What?
It's just,
I'm in.
Look at it too. I mean, it looks the most like I guess Link's Awakening, that top-down perspective. Kind of gives me like Willow vibes on the NES.
Okay.
Just because of the obviously Zelda perspective and all that. But
that's awesome.
I mean, it is colorful. It's fast-paced. It looks great. I mean, this is exact as I'm clearly learning. They are probably the top-notch developer on the 68000.
You know, Niko, it sounds like it's exactly what you needed to hear. But
get out.
I like it.
He just fell off a cliff.
I fell off the tower of Elmia.
Oh.
He was too busy chasing Star Princess. Yeah. Princess. Yeah. That's
clearly,
awesome.
You gotta check this entire soundtrack out too. It's all bangers. Oops, all bangers. What can I say?
Oops, all bangers. Oh no. I mean, oh yay.
We love that.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. So since we already talked about Hiroyuki Segusa, we can move on to your next pick.
All right. So this track is going to be from a game called Sill Steel that came out in 1995. The track is called Overload, in all caps, and was apparently composed by Findoll, Findoll. This is one of the games that I wasn't able to find a lot of information on, both either the game or the composer, but the track is great, so let's give it a listen.
Cool.
Okie dokie, that was Overload from Sill Steel, the 1995 Sharp X68000 game that was composed by someone named Findall. And I'll get this out of the way right now. I've got no information on Findall. The only place I found the name was on VGM Rips, and the only game that they are credited for is this one.
Findall sounds like a Power Rangers enemy.
Yeah, Findall, get them!
Findall.
Yeah,
I'm Findall.
Oh, God.
Hi.
But no, I enjoyed this one. It was high energy. We had those really buzzy synths that were going on there, which I really liked, and just it was super frantic. It reminds me of some of the music from Gradius on the Super Nintendo, Gradius 3.
Okay. Really sharp, stinging bass line.
Yep.
Really high energy. Those drums, I really had to listen for a hot minute to be like, are these sampled drums? But I don't think they are. I think they're just naturally part of the awesome power of the Yamaha YM2151. So
Fair.
Really awesome track. I love high energy stuff like this. So
Same.
load me up. Overload me up.
Overload you up.
Overload me up, Findall.
Niko, how'd you feel?
Oh yeah, I felt the same with the high energy. I like this. I like every instrument is doing its job that it needs to do, and it's doing it well. I love, again, the nice drum fills, some like hi-hats. God, yeah, I love the bass and the synths. This whole just high energy stuff is great with this kind of game that I'm sure you're about to get into what it is, but as you know, most of the games on this console probably are home computer.
Yeah.
It's a silly steel game.
Yeah, it's a Steel is short for Silly Steel.
It's
No.
silly and it's steel.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of information about it. It looks to be a shooter, like a shmup of some sort. What's interesting about the name is like how they've capitalized things. So like capital S, lowercase I, capital L, lowercase s, lowercase t-e-e, capital L. So it's a very, very weird look to that name. But all I've got are a handful of screenshots of this game, and like the title screen, the beginning of a mission, mission 1, rush into front line and break through it, space station.
Based on the screenshots, it looks pretty simplistic.
Yeah, it's a vertical scrolling shoot 'em up. As far as I can tell, you've got a shield. Your shield meter's on the bottom left. Your slow meter is on the bottom right. I don't know what the slow meter's for, but literally no information I can find about this game other than 4 screenshots and the fact that it's a shoot 'em up.
Okay, then.
So
Interesting.
It looks, I don't want to say it looks similar to Gradius because it really doesn't. Gradius is also side-scrolling, not vertically scrolling. But the shapes of some of like the shots and some of the ships do remind me of some of the enemies and some of the power-ups from Gradius. But I mean, that's not unique to Gradius. That happens to be my shmup of choice. So that's just where my brain goes. I mean, R-Type, any number of shmups that are actually vertically scrolling probably make more sense to anybody other than me.
I'd say kind of like a Star Soldier-esque because of the top-down.
Okay. But there are plenty of videos out there of people playing this, so I should have watched some of those.
Basic shmup.
Yeah.
Just wanted to mention the Sharp X68000 is also upgradable. So you can put a better processor in it, you know, like the Motorola 68040 or the 68060, different CPUs. You could also upgrade the sound card. So you can upgrade to a Yamaha YM2151, which is another FM synth sound chip. There's also a Sharp CZ68BM1, which is a MIDI card. It also has the SX68M MIDI card and the SX68M2 MIDI card. So pretty neat stuff if you wanted to upgrade it. I have not heard it upgraded, like in terms of the sound quality, if it's very different.
I would wonder what the changes are.
Yeah, I wonder.
Did you get more sound channels, or is it just
I don't know.
Cleaner synth?
Yeah, maybe cleaner sounds, but the system had a number of like re-releases, like different models that I believe added a lot of those like upgraded processors and stuff. So pretty neat. Anyways, let's get into our next pick. This one I'm really excited to talk about because it came out in 2014.
Oh, wow.
And the story behind it is incredible. So this is Illumination Laser. This is an unofficial release for the system. And the track we're going to play is called Violent Moon. It's by Nobuhisa Shinoda, who's credited as IC Kaze in this game. So check this one out. It's awesome. Welcome back. That was Illumination Laser, the track Violent Moon from the 2014 release of the game. That was composed by Nobuhisa Shinoda, credited as IC Kaze, I believe, in the credits. I got to get your opinions on this one. What do you guys think?
Oh, man. This was soaring. This very much felt just like flying high on your own supply. I don't know. So compared to the other stuff that we've heard, this feels very much like a full body sound. Something about what came out of my headphones here felt just more full than any of the other stuff that we've had. I've enjoyed everything else that we've listened to.
Yeah.
But this just kind of like filled my ear holes with sound.
Yeah. This took it to another level. I agree.
I agree with that. Like fullness, like full body. There's much more like going. This feels like a full on song, like somebody
Oh, yeah.
composed. Like they could be released on an album.
It's long.
I'm sure
It's
they're like
a lot longer than some of the other stuff we've been listening to.
yeah, this could be like on an X68000 like album,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, like homebrew stuff almost or whatever.
Greatest hits.
Yeah. Yeah. And it gives me that like soaring feeling. I feel like I'm flying high. Just like, not a worry in the world. I got my tunes with me. Yeah. It's good. This is definitely best.
Yeah, I agree. It has a lot of really cool panning effects. It very much feels like you're gathering up for an adventure, you know, high in the sky or in space. Kind of reminds me of the Star Fox game. You know, the lead up to the ships launching, you know, that sort of epicness.
Yeah.
Just really impressive tone and sound here. And it's just so long. It really is an epic journey musically. I was really drawn to this one. Here's some really interesting information about this. So I mentioned already it came out in 2014. I've also seen the year 2000 as a release
The distant future?
Yeah, the
year
distant
2000.
the distant future, the year 2000. So from what I understand, this game was worked on for a while, and maybe it was supposed to release in 2000, but it was lost to time. There was one video that was available that people could see what it looked like, basically. It's a CG top-down shmup. So it is one of the way more advanced games that was coming out. I mean, again, this was a very late release.
Yeah.
So they were doing...
Well after it was discontinued.
Right. So they were doing some really incredible stuff with the system, both sound-wise and visually. And so for the longest time, there was only one video that was available online to prove that this thing existed. The game was never finished, and essentially it just disappeared. Like, not even the developers knew where it was. So all of a sudden, it pops up on a Yahoo Japan auction, and it was just like hidden in with a bunch of other stuff, like a bunch of other games. And so a bunch of X68000 collectors pooled their resources financially and won the lot, which cost almost $1,000 for them to buy.
Wow.
And so they tried to dump the game, but obviously the game was unfinished. They posted about it in forums, and it turns out that somebody was chatting with the developer of the game for a while about the game's existence. And the developer asked that please don't release the game because I want to finish it.
Huh.
So in order for it to, like, you know, be released officially, or unofficially rather. So the developer goes by the name of Terra, Terra.
Okay.
So they sent him the information for the game so that way he could, I don't know if they sent him the physical copy or what, I mean, his game. So how it ended up in somebody else's possession, I don't know. But they finally released the game. They released it for free. Anybody can download it and put it on their emulator. It's supposedly one of the best games for the Sharp X68000. I just love this story of the community like pooling together to be like, let's save this from eternal damnation of video gamedom, you know?
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that put the tear to my eye.
Right?
Almost does, because I mean, there's already the, discussions on, trying to preserve video games, and to think this would have been lost, like the game and the soundtrack.
Oh,
actually, this whole story enhances the song, because now listening to it, it's like this could be in the background while telling the story of like, and it was almost lost until the heroes of the community pulled together and the developer came back and finished it. It's like, oh my God,
I love it.
Wow, you just enhanced the game and the soundtrack, or the song even more. I'm definitely gonna have to check out the rest of this soundtrack.
But yeah, it's a top-down, vertical scrolling, CG-based shooter. Looks really impressive for the time. Cool game, cool soundtrack. As far as Nobuhisa Shinoda, not a lot of credits for them. Flame Zapper Kotsujin was their first game back in 96 on the PC 98. Then Sugiya was their final credit, other than this, of course, and that was released in 1996. But anyways, we're getting a call.
Janine, why don't you patch that on over?
XVGM Radio, who is this, and what can we play for you?
Hello, this is EVIL NIKO.
EVIL NIKO?
I'm here to warn you, do not play any songs from visual novels, because you'll go down a dark rabbit hole.
Oh, okay. Thanks for the advice. Do you know this guy?
Evil me? No. Why would I have an evil me? There's no reason for there to be an evil me.
Yes, of course there's an evil version of you, Niko. It's me. And I'm telling you, don't play a track from a visual novel. You'll go down so many dark rabbit holes from PC-88 and PC-98 and this Sharp X68000. It'll be too much.
I don't know. I think we can play a track that will probably be pretty cool and awesome, because it's video game music. I mean, why not? It don't matter.
Fine. Do whatever you want. How about you do something then from a game called Twilight, released in 1995. If there are any wolves or vampires, you should let me know, because I haven't checked it out, but I'm familiar with the name. So, go on then.
Okay, then we shall do so. I will play a track from Twilight, released in 1995. The track is As Vera by Ryu Takami and Ryu Yumimoto. Welcome back. That was the track from Twilight, released in 1995, correctly pronounced as Vere. And that was composed by Ryu Takami and Ryu Uemoto.
Yeah, we actually
Uemoto.
did. Yeah, it's Ryu Takami and Ryu Uemoto, which the latter of which we did a whole episode on. We kind of botched some of the credits, unfortunately. I don't remember what happened with that. Like, that was back on episode 9. We were just starting out.
I think there was just a lot of things that were misappropriated to him.
Yeah, just like misleading credits, unfortunately. But this does definitely sound... The two of them worked hand in hand pretty often, from what I remember. So this was kind of somber, but like somber in a way that it was like a sci-fi somber.
Yeah.
You know, like you're sitting in an empty space station alone and you just hear the hum of the machines. That's the vibe I got from this one.
Same, actually.
Wow. What about you, Nico?
Yeah,
why'd you pick this one?
Well, as usual, whenever I pick the last track, it's usually, the most standout-ish for a reason. And for me, I was drawn by how clean and clear this song is. At first listen, you probably wouldn't even think it came from a Sharp X68000. This is definitely heavily relying on the MSM Oki sample channel. And I really love just how smooth it is, so electronic, so ambient, almost downbeat, down-tempo-ish. Like, this just sounds like it could come from a electronic album in the 90s. Like, this could even be something like Aphex Twin would put out.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. Maybe it's like
that was something
more
that
ambient works.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the first things that came to mind for this.
Yeah.
And I spared y'all with the shortest track from this soundtrack, as the rest of the songs are usually like 6 minutes.
Oh, wow.
12 minutes was one of them, which I assume was with the loop.
Sure.
But obviously, due to the nature of this game, I could see why there would be long tracks with this title.
Oh, okay. So it's based on the movie, right? The Twilight movie?
Yeah, it's little did we know,
Stephanie
this was
Myers.
where it all started.
Yeah, that's it.
Little did we know.
Yeah.
This is actually a visual novel, and yes, a not safe for work one, but very on the obscure end, for, as I'm sure plenty there were on this home computer. This is definitely like not a lot of people talking about it. It's very obscure. The usual, like, girls with the big anime eyes, visual novelness as you would expect. But I mean,
big
that's
anime,
something you're into.
others.
This would probably yeah, if it's something you're into, this is probably up your alley.
What big teeth do you have?
Oh my. I mean, there might be vampires and werewolves in this. I don't know. I haven't played it. I don't think I ever will be able to. So I'll just enjoy the soundtrack for the meantime.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's all like this. Just these smooth beats. Like the sample channel, what it's using is like dominant through most of the soundtrack. But this is the most standoutish to me because I know, like I said, it's just got that groove. Like, I could just pop this on with a whole mix of 90s electronic tunes and it wouldn't stand out probably.
Kind of a little bit of lo-fi vibes too, in a way.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
Like if video game music was lo-fi vibes, you know what I mean? So these composers, I know we kind of touched on them a little bit in terms of just referring back to episode 9 of XVGM Radio, which feels like an eternity away.
It's 110 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
So tell me a little bit about their credits for Ryu Takami and Ryu Uemoto.
Yeah, let's get a little fresher up on the double Ryu situation here. Well, with Ryu Takami, of course, they were involved in other not safe for work style, I guess, visual novels, Can Bunny Superior, Cosmic Psycho, Eve Burst Error, and I know.
That game got a re-release fairly recently, Kono Yono Hate Dekoi o Utao Shoujo. That got a release on the Switch.
I guess because it's one of the more popular ones of that genre. All right, yeah, we got, of course, PC 98, as there's usually crossover, Rusty.
Great soundtrack.
That Eve Burst Error. Yeah, I mean, Then after the Sega Saturn version of they had a bit of a, I guess, lull for like 10 years until doing some BGM menu music for 360 games, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, as their last credit is specifically for the Xbox 360 menu music of Espagaluda 2, which interesting.
Espagaluda, yeah.
That's
Espagaluda.
That's, I believe, a shooter, and it's got a great soundtrack. A lot of their newer credits are just ports of old games.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much they actually worked on those games. It might just
probably
be like
just
referral credits.
legacy credit.
Yeah, legacy credits. They did do a lot of work with Ryu Umamoto on stuff like Death Smiles, and Akai Katana and some other games like that came out in the 360.
Absolutely, yeah. They have the same sort of repertoire, a lot of PC 98, a lot of NSFWs in these titles because working on those similar games. And then, doing a lot of 360 stuff in that era as well. With, Mobile Suit Gundam, Sei Shoujo Sentai Lakers, not to be confused with the LA ones.
Yeah. Nin to Jump is a fun little game that came out in the 360 that Ryu Umamoto did. All I could say about that is 2 Ryus, 1 game.
Heck yeah.
All right, so that's Niko's final pick. What about you? What do you got for us for your final?
All right, so speaking of NSFW games, this is a game called Carrot, C-A-R-A-T, came out in 1993. We're going to listen to BGM 5, and the composers that I found on this one were Hitoshi Sakimoto, Yoshio Furukawa, and Wainde. All right, you are back. That was BGM 5 from 1993's Carrot, and the composers that we found were Hitoshi Sakimoto, Yoshio Furukawa, and Wainde.
Wainde.
It's a weird-looking word, which is why I say it weird. W-A-I-E-N-D-E-E.
Yes.
This was admittedly, another Gradius-sounding track from me.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it until I was into the track, and I was like, oh, I didn't pick these all at once, so I didn't cross-reference what I had already picked with what I wanted to pick later. So I like that sound, so it's really hard for me to turn it down. The drums on this were really punchy. I thought that they were more prevalent than in some of the other tracks that I've picked and some of the other tracks that I like in general. So I kind of really enjoyed those snares and what was going on there. And then just overall, like, very twinkling, very like maybe almost like end of the game Gradius.
Okay, I could see that. I love that galloping bass.
Yes.
I'm a sucker for that. So that really stood out to me. But yeah, I do get like vibes of like end credits or even just like first mission. You know, like of a shmup, that sort of thing. It's got that high energy that's fun and fresh, but it's also, you know, kind of stern and strong too. So I was digging this.
It is really good. I liked it. I like the cheery, uppity, like, joyfulness of it. Definitely got a Gradius vibe, but I feel it is better fitting as the vibe to, doing some puzzling.
Yeah.
As it is on this game.
It is
definitely,
a puzzle game.
Definitely some good cheery vibes. I like it.
Yeah, definitely cheery. This is a puzzle game, kind of Tetris-y, but there are the etchy aspects of it, as it's kind of like strip Tetris almost.
Okay.
So you got a lady like on the screen as you're playing your, I say Tetris, but like it's not like, 4 blocks that make up a shape. They are 2 blocks. Each block is a different color, potentially color matching what looks like a suit, like a card suit, like spades, diamonds, clubs, and hearts are what I see. And you're trying to get those to drop in such a way that you clear lines and as your score goes up, I would guess her clothes come off. But that's what it looks like. Again, this is like the last game that I picked from. This is another one where there really wasn't a whole lot of information about the game. There's probably more information video-wise, but again, I did not check out those videos. There's a handful of screenshots and little blurb about the Tetris-like gameplay aspect, which, like I said, looking at what I see here, I wouldn't call this Tetris. I would almost call it like, maybe it's more like a Puyo Puyo thing.
Okay.
They're not little, like, cute little blobs. They're just blocks. But yeah, that's really it. Like, the game itself looks cute as far as I can see, because the screenshots don't go anywhere past like the first few moments of the game. So I don't know how crazy it gets puzzle game wise. I also don't know how crazy it gets NSFW wise.
I will say, based on the composers, this sounds like a hold off track from Veritex, which makes a lot of sense because they both did that. Yeah. Great, like really driving bass line and just like hopeful, exciting, and strong. Yeah.
Fair.
So what else did they do?
Yeah, so Hitoshi Sekimoto, we've talked about a bunch.
Yes.
And so for this, I'll just focus on the NSFW credits just to go along with the game. We've got 1988 on the MSX and PC-88. They did Starship Rendezvous. In 1990, again on the PC-88, they did Cyberblock Metal Orange, which
we played a track from before.
Yes. And then in 1996, we have Star Platinum on the PC-98. And I think that's actually the end of Hitoshi Sekimoto's NSFW stuff. And then you've got Yoshio Furukawa. They have a much smaller resume here. They started out in 1990 on Cyberblock Metal Orange. As music compose, they did music design on Veritex in 1991. Music composition in Dragon Master Silk, Ryu Shokan Musume Episode 2 in 1992. And then we have 1996 Chip Chan Kick. Their last credit is for 1996's Star Platinum.
Nice.
And this last person here, Whiny Day.
Yes.
Almost sounds like I'm saying Whiny Day.
Whiny Day.
Their credits are just Cyberblock Metal Orange in 1993 on the Sharp X68000 for OPM arrangement and sound effects.
All right. I'm going to wrap it up with a game that is a no-brainer for me if I'm going to talk about the Sharp X68000. This is Akamajo Dracula X68000, better known as Castlevania Chronicles to American audiences. This did get a port on the PlayStation 1 with a rearranged soundtrack, but you could also play the original as well. And we're just going with the standard sound module for this one, the OPM. This is 1993's Etude for the Killer, Stage 7 by Shinchan Kaizo Nakamura and Hiroshi Kobayashi. Welcome back, and that was our final track of the evening, Akamajo Dracula X68000, the 1993 release, and the track was called Etude for the Killer, Stage 7, and it's by Shin-chan, Kaizo Nakamura, and Hiroshi Kobayashi. I had to pick something from this. I own it. So I was like, you know what? I gotta pick something. Plus, I'm a Castlevania nut, so I had to pick it. I could have went with better tracks, like Thrasher of the Cave. I could have went with You Goddamn Bathead, which is a great track with a really cool like hip hop kind of record scratch in it. Really good stuff there. But you know what? I wanted to do something that I don't think I've ever played on an episode before. I love the Baroque vibes from that intro. You've got that harp score that kind of lays it out.
Yep.
And then it's almost like an echo of what was just played. It's got that and then right behind it, it kind of doubles up.
Yep.
The bass is really crunchy and evil sounding, and there's some pretty neat sound effects throughout this entire track. It's kind of a dark, sinister vibe, which fits because it's Castlevania. But that's pretty much it. This is basically like, what if they made Castlevania on the Genesis? In terms of like, if they remade the first Castlevania on the Genesis. That's the vibes that the game has always given me. So,
I mean, this is Castlevania goodness, and leave it to Konami to still deliver. This is actually one of the few soundtracks I actually know on the Sharp X68000, but I hadn't listened to that track as much. Definitely love it. Definitely one of those like nearing the end of the game kind of tracks.
Yeah, with Stage 7, yeah.
At the beginning. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, I don't know what to say that I'm sure you can spill over 100 times over, because someone tells me you like Castlevania a lot.
Just like when you're playing Metal Gear Solid and you have a Castlevania save on your memory card. You like Castlevania, don't you?
Obviously, it's good, solid. I approve, and I love it. I love that you picked it still, because it's like, yes.
Yeah, I've tried to pick something a little different in terms of Castlevania. So, what about you, Justin?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the organ synth that they had for the organ parts. It sounded appropriate, and it kind of got me excited for more of the song. And then there's that droning bass, again, a buzzy bass that kind of drones through a lot of the song, that kind of keeps it going, keeps it moving. And then there was this other thing that I noticed kind of like this on the loop, where it's like there's like this like metallic tapping that was thrown in there that
right after that that
I'm like, I don't know exactly what it added to the song, but I know it was interesting to hear.
Yeah, like I said, like a lot of weird crazy sound effects in this. Pretty neat. Not much else to say about the game in and of itself. If you haven't played it, you can play it on Castlevania Chronicles, which I'm not sure if it got I know it got re-released on the PS3, but I don't think it got re-released elsewhere. So you may have a tough time finding it, but I think it's still available on the PS3, digitally at least. Physically, for the PS1, it's very expensive. Shin-chan is one of the listed composers, and this is the only game they're credited for sound design on. And then they joined the Shin-chan cartoon or something. I don't know, it just can't be a coincidence. Then Kaizo Nakamura, a little bit more familiar if you've ever played like Snatcher, Tokimeki Memorial on the TurboGrafx CD, Detana Twinbee, Rondo of Blood. They were part of the sound staff on that. And their final credit is just for the re-release of Rondo of Blood. Prior to that, though, Moon Remix RPG Adventure for the PlayStation back in '97. Last composer is Hiroshi Kobayashi, has a little bit more credits. Again, another Konami composer that started off with Contra 3 The Alien Wars, doing sound effects. Primarily started off doing sound effects with most of their earlier games like Lethal Enforcers on the Genesis. Then they kind of switched over to do music composition with games like Rocket Knight Adventures, which got a great soundtrack.
Oh, yeah.
Contra Hardcore in 1994 on the Genesis. Then they moved over to working on games on the PlayStation. Games like NBA in the Zone, Ganbare Goemon, Uchu, Kaizoku, Ako Gingu. Buster Groove on the PlayStation. Their final game was in 2002, and that was Bomberman Jetters on the PS2. So I think they mostly stuck with Konami through to the end for that. So, yeah. So that's our Sharp X68000 episode. That was a lot of fun, and oh my God, so much good music. But now's the time of the episode where we pick our favorite tracks, and we're going to have our second co-host, also known as our third host, Niko, go first.
Oh my gosh, getting the pressure on me first, as I think it is usually. This is a tough one.
Yeah.
We all had good picks.
Yeah,
and
we did.
obviously it's always so easy to pick your own, but I'm not going to do that for this one. Because I do think there's something better. Or at least as far as just like, which one of these just stood out the most? I mean, between like Geograph Seal, the Illumination Laser Track, and even Sill Steel, like those three are like in my like faves. But which one would be my favorite?
Choose wisely.
You can only pick one.
Hint, hint. You know what? I was actually feeling the Slice Steel track, actually. I don't know. There's something about it that just it hooks
Overload?
me.
Yeah.
Overload, yeah. That was a good one.
I don't know. I would say that would probably be my favorite, even though Illumination Laser probably then second, but just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. Illumination Laser Violent Mood is my pick. That was my favorite just because of how kind of surprising it was, like how much it kind of filled my head with sound.
Definitely one of the more advanced tracks in terms of sound. Man, I don't know what it is about this track, and I know y'all are like, oh my God, really? I got to go with my Reinforcer track. I don't know what it was, but that just really hooked me. And it was to the point where, like, even after I listened to it over and over again, I couldn't help but keep going back to it. So it just really grabbed me. But as you guys said, Illumination Laser was great. I really liked the Etoile Princesse, the Tower of
Totally.
Yeah, the Tower of Alemia. I thought that track was excellent. And I also really liked the Carrot track as well, the BGM5.
Yeah,
that was one of my favorites
those two.
I would honestly pick those over my Akamajo Dracula track, surprisingly, because it's a great track. But I mean, like, you guys picked better in comparison, so yeah. We'd love to hear everyone else's favorite tracks. Let us know in our social media, Discord, email. Yeah, but just let us know what you thought. Thanks so much to NikoTengoku, for joining us on this episode. What do you got cooking in the Niko chambers? You're still doing Twitch or YouTube or smoke signals? What do you got going on?
Just doing some smokes, cooking some smoky sausages. It's just my new hobby now.
Delicious.
Now, as usual, you search up Niko's 8-Bit Stereo, just 8-Bit Stereo. Search any NES soundtrack. You'll find my work, but I'm always continuing and trying to keep on top of. Make sure you're checking out the revamp versions with the black and white logo. That's the better stuff.
Yeah.
But I am trying to still do, I think I may have said this last time, trying to do original content on YouTube channel I have, which is just NikoTengoku. I did release something as of this recording out like a week ago. I guess it would be a couple weeks ago at this point.
Nice.
It's a Sega Genesis Mega Drive like 32X mix. You could link to that channel or that video.
Yeah.
And definitely one of the proudest things I've made outside of 8-Bit Stereo, because
It's different. Right.
Yeah.
it is. Doing the mix and getting just like the mixing of songs down is like a whole, that took me like weeks, maybe like a month or two total, just to fine tune as I wanted.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's pretty much it. Twitch maybe every so often, but that's taking a backseat. Just doing the YouTube thing. Just doing what I love with video game music.
Awesome.
Y'all know that.
Yeah. Links down below in the show notes for Niko's linky goodness.
So, we'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon patrons, without whom this show's continued improvement would be impossible. They are Cam Worma, Jordan and Ensign Davis, Rage Cage, Kung Fu Carlito of the Heroes 3 podcast, Scott McElhone, Claire Myers, Brad Austin, Chris Murray, Llama Adam, Red Hua, Nick Davis, and Ryan McPherson.
If you would like to become a patron, you can sign up at patreon.com/XVGM Radio. There you can see the different tiers as well. Just $1 gets you a thank you and access to our monthly live shows.
You can visit our website, xvgmradio.com, where you can listen to all the episodes and learn more about your hosts, as well as any of our guests or composers that we've had on the show.
If you'd like to reach out to us, you can always email us at xvgmradio@gmail.com.
If you like what you've heard, please consider giving us a review on iTunes.
You can join our Facebook group and chat with other VGM lovers at www.facebook.com/groups/XVGM Radio, where we talk about everything from current game news to sharing awesome VGM tracks or just talking about the podcast itself.
You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram. Our handle on both those sites is at XVGM Radio.
If you don't have any other social media or just want to try something unique, check us out on our Discord group chat. Links in the show notes.
All right, so in 1 month, we're coming back with a new episode, but we also wanted to mention that XVGM After Dark is coming back as well. This time it's Justin's pick. What are you picking for us?
Yeah, so we're coming back on the 18th of February. We're going to listen to a very special vinyl that my friend Nick gave to me from a Final Fantasy convention he went to called KupoCon. I believe the artist's name is Mogsart, and it's a vinyl with some Final Fantasy cover tracks. So, I mean, there's the Prelude in there, there's Terra's Theme, there's Man with a Machine Gun, there's Geneva. It's short. This one's not going to be very long. It'll probably be about as quick as the Shadow Dancer episode from January. But it'll be a fun little listen of some Final Fantasy covers.
Nice. And then we have a live episode that's going to be released on the 21st of February.
Yeah, we're going to get together on Friday night, as we have been. February, the month of Valentine's Day, so we're going to do something with Love VGM tracks that contain the word love for that topic.
Yeah, we did do something similar back in 2019 for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we did like a Valentine's Day special.
Yeah, but this one, specifically the word love has to be in the song.
Yes.
So,
well, in the song or the title?
In the song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then as far as our main episodes go, we're going to be rounding the corner to episode 120.
Yeah.
Which, as per usual, will be our free picks episode. So we pick the tracks, you listen to it, and you love it. You're going to like it.
End of sentence.
Yeah. Mr./Mrs./whoever is listening. So once again, thank you to Niko for joining us. And this is Mike.
And Justin. And Niko.
And Niko, too. I'm here.
Signing off for XVGM Radio.
Yeah, definitely cheery. Definitely, what's the word?
Cheerio.
You will not the word that I was going to leave.
Cheerio.
Is the word you're looking for cheerio, Justin?
I mean, close enough, I guess. So this is a puzzle game, kind of Tetris-y.